Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of the viewers from around the world. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of correlation and regression, we will be considering the developments in the forex market along with the equity segment, particularly for the US. So we will be considering the price dynamics which have prevailed so far in the session to see how things are shaping up and what we can expect as the US session is going to start very soon. So we will be now heading to the JForex for the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Euro USD chart drawn on the hourly 5-minute candlestick time frame where the range has been defined for 2 hours and 4 hours. This is the Donchian channel 48, and with each candle period defined at 5 minutes, we get the range for 240 minutes, this being 24. With each candle period at 5, we get the range for 120 minutes. And also to look at the price action, we have the SMA 12 and 24 in place to get the average price prevailing over last 1 and 2 hours respectively. Now, if we consider the Euro USD's price move so far, it has traded in a narrow range with the subdued momentum. It is not really going anywhere. For most part of session, it has found support closer to the 1.06, and that has been the story for last couple of days. Today is no exception. Again, it found support closer to this critical support and bounced from there on around 40-45 pips, but it wasn't really able to sustain as it has resistance also in play on the higher side. So this range which has been holding for last couple of session is in play today as well. So we saw the Euro USD moving in its predefined range. Not much of an surprise there. Now as it is moving on the lower side again, I'm not really expecting it to decline much. Maybe it is likely to find support closer to again this prior swing low. So that is where we can expect it to find some support, and with that in mind we can gear up for the possibilities where we can go for buy on dip strategy to be applied in this Euro USD. But if we have to go for any buy trade in the Euro USD, of course we have to see if the Euro is the best placed currency to go for a new trade, or if we have better options coming our way in other currencies like AUD, GBP, NZD, and other major currencies in the mix. So we will be comparing all the major crosses with the USD, including the USDCAD, USDCHF, USDJPY, to see which one is the strongest on which side. If we have the momentum majorly on the bullish side for these currencies, then we will be comparing which is the currency with the best bullish momentum, and if the momentum is on the bearish side, then we will of course look for the instrument with the strongest bearish momentum to trade with. Now as I said, Euro USD is mostly trading in a narrow range with support and resistance having been defined for last couple of sessions. So in today's session also, not much of an major surprise is likely to be in store with the breakout on either side. So keeping that in mind, for next couple of hours we can watch out for these immediate swing low, and if things stabilize after this fall which is unfolding as of now, and if we see the Euro USD consolidating on the lower level for next couple of hours, then again we can go for the buy trade. As we saw these earlier in the day, the consolidation for last 3 to 4 hours then came in this spurt on the higher side, which proved short-lived both in terms of the magnitude as well as the longevity of the spurt, as we had again the resistance in play. Now that aside, as we have to concentrate our energies on looking for buy on dips, so we will have to now gear up and see the how things are in relative terms for the euro. Now, if we consider the AUDUSD's price formation, the AUDUSD is having a lot better momentum. It has a fresh breakout compared to the prior swing high. So that in mind, the AUDUSD is comparatively on the stronger footing compared to the Euro USD. Euro USD didn't really cross and hold much above this prior swing high, but AUD is doing that. AUD has been able to sustain its gain on the higher side. So if we have to go for any trade in the next couple of hours, of course, we have to place AUD USD ahead of the Euro USD, as it is having a stronger bullish momentum in relative terms. So this correlational analysis is telling us that for any buy trade to be taken against the dollar, we have the AUD much better placed compared to the euro. But before we can draw a final conclusion, of course, we have to consider all the major currencies, including the GBP, NZD, CAD, CHF, and JPY. And only after that, we will be in a position to judge for ourselves whether the AUD is the strongest bet or if we have some other better choice in the store. Now, as we have this fresh breakout in the AUD with its ability to hold on to these recent gains, I think even from the swing trade perspective, we can expect the AUD to try to climb closer to this immediate resistance, which is there around 0.6743. But if you are not really looking to go for any positional trade, and even if from the intraday perspective, then also for next couple of hours, this prior swing high is likely to act as the near term support. So keeping that in mind, we can also go for buy on dip strategies in the AUD. Let's compare what's the story for GBP USD. The GBP USD is following a similar price trajectory to the euro, but it is even weaker on the weaker footing compared to the euro as well, where this decline has been substantial in today's session, and after that it hasn't really been able to climb back all those losses. So as a result of that, we have substantial losses for today's session being observed in the GBP. And if we compare it to the other major currencies, that's something of difference, as we have most other currencies trading with gains for the day, and Euro USD is now mostly flat, but still from where it started for the day, it has a slightly uppish momentum. But for GBP, the momentum has been bearish. So we have the bearish tendency prevalent in the GBP in today's session, and even compared to the euro, it is on the back foot. So it is a better placed currency for going for a short sale trade, not a long trade. For the long trade, we have the best possible scenario in the AUD of all these three major currencies. Let's see the story for NZDUSD. NZDUSD is trying to follow its Asia Pacific peer, the AUD, and for NZD also the gains are quite good, not as substantial as in case of AUD, but still, comparatively speaking, it has been able to add to its gains, though it hasn't been able to sustain those gains. But on a relative term, I think it has to be placed somewhere closer to the euro and not closer to the GBP. But for euro, we have seen these days high being formed, but for NZD that has not been the case. So I think on that count, we will have to place it behind the euro being on the stronger side. So of the four currencies which we have seen for so far, the GBP USD has the most bearish momentum, whereas the AUD USD has the most bullish momentum against the dollar, with Euro USD and NZD placed in between in that order. For USDCAD, the momentum has been lately on the stronger side. It did make this swing low at 1.3594, and after that it has again given off some of those gains, and it is up for the time being at 1.362. Now, if we have to consider the price trajectory of the USD CAD, it is somewhere middle of the pack currency instrument. It is not overtly strong like AUD, but it is not on the weaker side like the GBP also. So on that count, we have to do the analysis and see for where it stands. And for GBP, the low came in at 14:30 GMT. After that, this high came in at 15:45 GMT. For USD CAD, let's see, this came in at 14:15 GMT, and this low came in at 15:55 GMT. So this is immediate swing low being formed by the CAD against the dollar. And now if we consider its prior price trajectory, it was on the stronger side earlier in the day, but then it also traded with the bearish momentum with this formation of the higher highs and higher lows. Now, of late, it is showing some strong moves against the dollar, but it has not been able to sustain and hold on to those gains against the dollar. As a result of that, again, USD CAD has started to get back to its day's lowest point. So as a result of that, I think we have to place it on the bearish spectrum, not on the bullish spectrum. And where we have to place it, it has to be placed ahead of the GBP. I mean, in terms of the bullishness, but in terms of the bearishness, the GBP is leading the pack, and then comes the USD CAD. If we compare it to the NZD is slightly better placed compared to the CAD. Let's see for USDCHF. The USDCHF has done a U-turn after making this low at 0.9238, and now it is where it was a couple of hours back at its swing high. So the USDCHF is also having the bullish momentum now, as the CHF has weakened and it is seemingly even trading weaker compared to the euro. There is not much of a difference in the price trajectory of these currencies, the CHF and the euro. But if we look at the GBP USD, it has been surprisingly able to hold above this immediate swing high, so that is something to watch out for. But as of now, the CHF is also on the weaker footing, and as a result of that, it will be interesting to see how things shape up. So give it some more time and see if it is able to hold on to these levels if it finds this resistance hard to climb past. In that scenario, I think you can even go for the initiation of the new short sale in USDCHF. But as things stand, we will have to be a bit cautious at the moment and allow it to consolidate first, and only after that we will be in a position to take a new trade. Now it's the turn of the USDJPY. The USDJPY is having a fresh spurt on the higher side. So seemingly JPY is the weakest currency against the dollar as of now, with these gains putting it quite ahead of the pack. Even the GBP has been able to hold above this prior swing low, but in USD JPY we are seeing the fresh high formation, and that puts JPY on the weaker side even compared to the GBP. So of all these major currencies which we have seen so far, we have the JPY being the most bearish of the pack and AUD being the most bullish of the pack. So accordingly, you have to position your trades if you want to go for the strength in the dollar. If you are expecting the dollar to gain further going ahead in the North American trading session, then you can watch out for trading opportunities in the USD JPY. You can apply the strategies like buy on dips. But if you are not really confident of the USD strength, and if you expect the story to turn in coming hours, then you have the AUD in picture where you can keep looking for the buying opportunities. So we have seen these major currencies, and we have figured out that JPY is the most bearish one against the dollar, and AUD is the most bullish one against the dollar. So on which side of the dollar strength you are, is now up to you, and as per that, if you expect the USD to continue to strengthen going ahead, then JPY is the best place currency to trade with. And if you are expecting the dollar to weaken going ahead, then the AUD seems to be the best place currency to trade with. Now let's see how things are shaping up on the equity side. Let's consider the major equity indices for the United States first. Here, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is seemingly having a bullish momentum, with this formation clearly suggesting this upward momentum at the moment, with higher highs and higher lows in place. But now, if we have to consider it in context of last couple of days, it is just regaining some of the lost ground. It is still quite low compared to this prior swing high formed closer to the 35,000. And if we have to go for the trade in today's session, keeping up with the momentum, we will have to, of course, continue to trade with the slightly bullish bias. But then we have to determine if the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the best placed instrument to trade with, or if we can have the better options available to us in S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So for NASDAQ, the momentum is slightly on the bearish side, and that is quite inverse of what we are seeing in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, where the momentum is more favorable for the bullish spectrum. So with these two contrasting indices, trade systems, we have to now careful. And I think for next couple of minutes, we are likely to see higher volatility as the US session is going to get underway. It has already started, and as a result of that, the volatility is going to peak up, and how things shape up in next couple of hours are going to be a defining factor for rest of the session also. So watch out for these immediate swing high in the S&P 500, and if we see the S&P 500 again trying to climb back and climb past this immediate swing high, then we will have the bullish momentum moving forward, and we can then bet on S&P 500, or even we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Dow Jones is seemingly on the slightly bullish wicket compared to the S&P 500. So we will have to give the first preference for any bullish trade to be taken to the Dow Jones. But for the bearishness, we have the NASDAQ in place with its formation of lower lows and lower highs. So you have the three indices with these slightly different undertone as of now, with resistance in place on the higher side. We can expect the NASDAQ to trade slightly with the bearish bias, and in coming hours we can expect it to decline even past the immediate swing low. So that possibility is there, and you keeping that in mind, we can continue to look for short selling opportunities in Nasdaq. But if things stabilize and if we have the momentum shifting gears on the higher side, then the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the instrument to trade with the consolidation and this bias on the higher side. We have better bullish momentum here. So that's my take looking at these three key equity indices for the United States, and keeping in mind your own system and the outlook. You can then decide to trade with the Dow Jones Industrial Average or the Nasdaq, depending on which side of the equation you want to trade with. For the bullish trading outlook, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is the bet, and for the bearish outlook, we have the Nasdaq in picture. So that's all from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write back to me in the feedback section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you on the next session.